Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, it's the Midday Market Report with Jeff Dawson.
Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Thursday, November 17th, 2022, an action-packed day. God, my head's spinning like Carrie here. 9:15 Sportsbooks Confession with Brady Tinker and Dave Sharapan. 1 o'clock, the NFL Bet Exchange with Pop DiBiase from LA. 3 o'clock, Dan Alexander, as we talk some Philly action, some NFL action, some Premier Lacrosse, and a little Bryce Harper to end. And of course, it's the closing bell. And we had to do the closing bell today. Why? The Packers, Lambeau Field, 3.5 point favorites right now with around a 41. Want to hear what Riley has to say. I'll tell you what I got to say. You know, in these lanes, guys, if you're not in this for the long haul, the long term, the marathon that we call, the day-to-day grind, it can change like this. The ECSI VIPs ended the week last week 9-1. We netted 7 units. We start the week 1-0, and I left 3 games on the desk. Of course, they all won, so could have been on a 13-1 heater. What has transpired since Monday night? Well, let me tell you. 0-2 on Tuesday. 0-3 yesterday. And I kicked myself in the nuts because I talked to Scotty. I had the over in the Northern Illinois game, and we released the money line instead. Of course, Northern Illinois pick late, lose the game outright. Game goes flying over. Today, we have sources upon sources, okay? Numbers don't lie. We had Colorado winning 80-70. We had them a 9.5, 10-point favorite. Well, they were down to 5. And listen, I get it. Trust me, as an ex-coach, I get it. You go from losing as 15-point favorites at Grambling to winning as 15-point favorites against Tennessee. Now you're in a neutral site against the UMass Minutemen. There was no Calipari there. There was no Kellogg. There was none of those guys there. And Colorado comes out guns a-blazing up 13-6. And then after that, thanks for playing. I mean, grab ass the whole first half, down 3. I think at halftime, 5.5 point favorites the second half. They can't even win that. So we lose. So the point of the matter is now we're down 4.5, 5 units this week. We don't just play spin that wheel of fortune and just grab shit off the desk and try to find winners. It doesn't happen like that. When you got the NFL, you got the NCAAF, you got a whole slate of college basketball, a whole slate of NBA, a whole slate of NHL. There's a lot of shit to decipher. That's what I talk about, that spaghetti strainer. And if you just go in there blind because you had a great week last week and now you're down and you start chasing, that's what those billion-dollar casinos are all made of. So ECSI VIP, go grab a coffee, an espresso, a Red Bull, whatever floats your boat, a martini, whatever. I'm here with Riley to break down the closing bell. I'll send an alert out if I see fit. If we find a couple games, we'll go from there. So without further ado, let's bring him in. From the south side himself, the one and only Mr. Riley Magnuson. What's up, Riley?
What is up, my friend? Happy Thursday. I am ready to rock and roll, obviously, here. My Packers here at Thursday Night Football, Lambeau Field, and plenty of other stuff to talk about, I'm sure. But, yeah, I'm ready to rock and roll, my friend. Maybe I'm getting a little too optimistic, too hyped up, but I'm juiced up for the Packers game tonight to hopefully continue turning the season around. And if not, then, we'll have a different conversation, you and I, I'm sure, tomorrow or the next time we see each other. But I'll stick with some optimism. I've got some thoughts on maybe some props out of the Packers game. But I'm ready to rock, my friend. Let's get into it.
Well, as I talked to Dan an hour ago, and I'm going to start with you, I like the story. I like the thought process. I thought the Packers were in a great spot on Sunday. Twice come back from 14. Win that game outright. The Packers back. The emergence of Christian Watson. In come the Titans, a team that no one ever talks about. And that's all Mike Vrabel and them do. They don't just win, they cover. They're a covering cash cow. Number 2 against the run. In comes O. Henry, where Green Bay struggles against the run. The whole world is on the Packers. It's now 3.5 and 41. What are you seeing?
You know what? As far as the, like I said, I released my Packers blog weekly. I'm due for a bounce back. I've been profitable ever since I started it. Now, after these last couple of weeks, I'm dipping into the red. So I'm looking to climb back out of it. As far as the spread, 3.5, I have confidence that the Packers can win tonight. You know what the Packers defense will do against Henry and the Titans offense, I guess, is still a little bit of a question mark to me. They're going to have to be huge on, not only forcing third down obvious passing situations, but, getting off the field in those situations. And they've been good for the most part, especially early on in the season in those situations. So, I mean, obviously, if Henry's running all over us and those situations aren't there, then it could be a rough night for our defense. But I think if they're getting themselves into those third and 7, 8, 9, whatever it is, third and long passing situations, I think they'll have some success there. As far as the Titans' rushing defense, that's probably going to be what decides this game. Packers' offensive attack versus that Titans' rushing defense, whatever. I was looking through it, and honestly, one thing that I saw, and again, this isn't me trying to put down what they've done. They're a very good rushing defense. This will be just at least going off of yards per attempt. This will be the 4th team that ranks in the top 10 in yards per carry that they've faced. They've made a huge living dominating some of these bad rushing teams. Again, I don't want this to sound like I'm saying they're not. Some of these numbers are fugazi. That's not what I'm saying. But their first 3 weeks of the season, and again, it's going back to the first 3 weeks of the season. Those other 3 teams ranking in the top 10 with the first 3 weeks of the season. Saquon, again, is week 1, so maybe you don't chalk up week 1 to anything. But Saquon had a really nice night or day or whatever it was in week 1 against them. And then in week 2, it was the Bills, obviously a totally different beast. I don't know yardage-wise, but I know yards per carry was fine. And then the Raiders, honestly, they're another top 10 team yards per carry, at least offensively. And that was the one that the Titans won 24-22. And ever since, it's been either middle of the pack or bad rushing offense or teams with, bad quarterbacks. You don't have to really respect these quarterbacks. So that gives me some optimism tonight that the Packers will try to still emphasize the run. And I'm not saying they're going to be running all over them. I'm not saying Aaron Jones is going to have a huge game, A.J. Dillon, whatever it is. But I think there's going to be enough success from the Packers rushing offense. Honestly, I took a little sprinkle, or not a sprinkle. One of my plays was A.J. Dillon over 37.5. He efficiency-wise was better last week, but another situation where I talked to you about it, when the weather starts to turn, he is a huge emphasis point of not only being just an impossible human being that you have no interest in getting in his way in because he's such a bowling ball. That can help wear down a defense, right? And we saw it a couple of years ago, actually. He had a huge – both of them were active. I think it was kind of his breakout performance a couple of years ago against this Titans rushing defense. So I actually think A.J. Dillon could have a nice night tonight. Some of that physicality is going to be really important, and it might only be a couple yards at a time, 3 yards at a time. But if that can help wear down the defense, the Titans defense, I'm optimistic that the Packers can then – kind of not pass all over them, so to speak, but have a nice passing attack as well. So I've got some optimism here. Like I said, I've got A.J. Dillon over 37.5. I've got him to score a touchdown as well. A couple weeks ago against the Lions, didn't have a very good game on paper. A couple times where they obviously ended up ultimately turning the ball over at the red zone. He was in the packages for those red zone attempts, got a couple attempts, just couldn't get it done. And then you look at last week, and I going at least off the top of my head, I can't remember them having a true, inside the 5 goal line appearance. I know Aaron Jones had a rushing touchdown, but I think it was from 10, 12 yards out, 8 to 15 yards out, or something like that. So in my opinion, if they get inside that 5, they'll look to use A.J. Dillon to get into the end zone. So that's one of my plays at the very least as far as the rushing attack. Again, could the Titans rushing defense be very good and the Packers are forced to throw for sure. But I at least think the Packers will have a little more rushing success than people are giving them credit for. And again, I don't want it to sound like I'm trashing on the Titans rushing defense because it's very good. But they have made a living off of really bad or either bad rushing attacks or teams with bad quarterbacks that they don't really have to respect that quarterback. You know what I mean?
And I think they caught the Colts both times without Taylor. Or if
I was looking. They got him one time, and I think yards per carry he was fine. But I think Matt Ryan threw the ball or whoever it was 40 plus times or something like that.
okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of comical. Look at Tampa Bay wins 2 in a row, and what happens? They're on a bye this week.
Yeah.
Packers win on Sunday against Dallas. Short week, which helps them. They're home. Win this week. Now you've won 2 in a row. You get to 5 and 6. You get the bye week. You get healthy. You get the cold weather, the snow, the frigid of Lambeau Field, and it's time to make that run to get yourself ready for the playoffs. Correct?
Yep. Yeah. They go to Philly next week, but it's Sunday night, so they get the advantage of a nice a long extra 10-day prep for them instead of the week-long prep for the Eagles that next week there.
So again, more if you want to play peekaboo and peek ahead, kind of sort of, they're going to be at least 6-point dogs to Philly at Philly.
Mm.
So kind of one of these, I don't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. It's a must win tonight for them.
100%. I totally agree with you. I mean, just going to 4-7, that feeling would be, you want to avoid that. But then obviously, like I said, whenever I say it, I always say if we're talking optimistically and you think, they can only lose one of these games or maybe 2 games, you're kind of penciling in that Philly game as one game that they lose, right? And this Titans game, a game where you're favored in Lambeau Field off of this past win, I agree with you. It's a must win. And if they don't, then they got to almost run the table. And I think there's probably at least one loss built into the schedule regardless. So whether 9-8 is good enough or not, I don't know. But I agree with you. I think tonight is a must win game for sure.
There's one college football game, SMU at Tulane. There's a short NBA schedule. What are your eyes seeing moving forward from the NFL game?
As the rest of the slate you're talking, as far as college, I don't know if you've got any thoughts. Again, these Thursday night, I've had more success with the MAC. These Thursday night American Conference or whatever it is has not been my strong suit, and I've avoided it altogether. So if you've got anything on this SMU Tulane game, please let me know.
No, I don't. Again, I'm a little salty because I hadn't been diving into the MAC, had the over on the desk, and we go with the it went from 3-1. I didn't like the move. I thought it was bullshit. And eventually we lose on that one as the game goes over. Tulane's been a great story. SMU can score with the best of them. I think that totals low 60s.
I see 65 and a half here.
Yeah, again, 72% of the bets, 74% of the money in on the over. It's gone from 65.5 to 66. A 2.5 Tulane favorite now to 3.5. 53% of the bets, 52% of the money coming in on Tulane. I could see this honestly 34-31 Tulane.
Yep, I could see it. Yeah, maybe you play some points. It's going to be, I don't know what the weather is honestly in this one. I imagine it's much nicer than Green Bay, Wisconsin tonight, so it might be a good double-sided screen to get a 30-degree, 25-degree game and whatever the hell it is going to be there. But I'm not sure if you got that pulled up or not.
Yeah, there you go. Here's my lean. Tulane team total over 34.5. There it is.
Okay, I can get behind that for sure. Yeah, I mean, you look back, SMU's had some success in this matchup, but either way, it's always points, a decent amount of points, so I could see it for sure there. So. I don't know. The NBA, only 3 games tonight. I'm not playing anything. The one that is at least interesting to talk about, you've got Brooklyn at Portland. Brooklyn coming off of 153-121 loss against the Kings. We were leaning towards the Kings on Tuesday's show, you and I there, and I took a swing on the Kings. I also leaned the under, which obviously was the biggest over of the year over there. But I don't know. I see a huge public side or a huge public backing on Portland tonight after that Brooklyn loss, 153 points. You have Kevin Durant. I can't remember if it was before or after that game. I think it was after, kind of calling out not calling out, but kind of just calling out his situation. And I think you would expect his teammates to respond a little bit to that. So I don't know about you. I'm not taking it. I have taken a firm stance of staying far, far away unless I'm betting against the Nets. Of not really backing the Nets as one of these teams, but gun to my head, a 10-4 Portland team that's playing fairly well. and a total of, what is it here, 223, 222.5 after they just gave up 153. Kind of suggests that their defense is probably going to be a little bit better tonight. So I'll lean on that and say I'll lean Brooklyn on as far as that game is concerned.
I look for a Brooklyn bounce back, and I did hear the presser with Durant calling about. He goes, basically, if you're playing with Jeff Dawson, Riley Magnuson, Scott Webb, and Mr. Lucky, what do you expect? And now rumblings coming that the team's starting to get a little pissy with Simmons and his output. And in comes Kyrie basically on Sunday to return, and he basically didn't check any of those boxes. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. So I'm going to go out on record and guess that Kyrie comes in quietly, and then next thing you know, Ben Simmons, wink, wink's going to have back spasms, and he's going to be out a couple of weeks. That's my guess.
Yeah, I don't think that's another reason. I mean, those are as far as you would expect this Brooklyn team to bounce back, but you look ahead and those are distractions like they've, as big as they've maybe not as big as they've had, but those are definite distractions. So it's going to keep me away from them tonight for sure. Despite what I expect, a better defensive performance, because it's a mess as far as that's concerned. Durant, kudos to him as far as what he's done, talent-wise or skill-wise, productive-wise. He's been fantastic this year. I'm not sure if he'll be sticking around there this year or not, but it's a rough situation I'm staying away from. So San Antonio in Sacramento. Now Sacramento, after the massive win that we just talked about, 153. They won 4 in a row. 7-6. They're playing well. A lot of people are interested in them not being a 30-win team, and obviously they're kind of reflecting that right now. 7.5, 8. This Spurs team is just I would lean towards the Spurs covering this one again. We talked about them 2 days ago. They ended up losing by 7, covering the 8.5 against Portland a couple days ago. So I'll bet on some regression from the 150, or I'm not physically betting on it, but I'll lean towards the regression of off the 153 from Sacramento and say San Antonio's probably got a decent chance to keep this one close. I've talked about almost ad nauseum at this point that San Antonio's not as bad as they look on paper. They've got some scores, so I'll lean towards the Spurs, but I'm going to leave that one. It also wouldn't surprise me if the Kings win again, maybe not 150 output, but maybe a 120-90 type game or something like that. Wouldn't surprise me, but I'll lean towards the Kings there, or the Spurs there, excuse me.
Yeah, tough to come back a 150 game. You played the perfect game. The Brooklyn allowed you to do it. Now in comes San Antonio that we thought would be mailing it in, for the Wembayamba sweepstakes. I'm looking at some team totals, 122 over, 115 for the Tomatoes, and 114.5 for the Spurs. To me, again, I'm no stake in the game at all. I would lean the dog here to find a way to cover.
Yep, 100% with you on that one. And then the last one, still at least as recently as I've seen, Kawhi Leonard is questionable for this one. He's been out for quite a while. He's only played, I think, 20 minutes in each of 2 games. I believe Cade Cunningham is out for the Pistons, though, so it's a mess in this game as far as the injury report. If you feel like you can deduct it, then by all means jump in it. If Cade Cunningham was playing, I think I might feel decent about a play on the Pistons here, and I guess gun to my head, I might take the Pistons and the points, but I'm going to avoid this injury stuff. Kawhi Leonard, is he going to play 20 minutes, 30 minutes? Is he going to start, come off the bench? I have no idea. And this Pistons team has obviously still been fun to watch at times, but obviously they're not having the success that I thought they might have here, and a lot of people thought they might have. So I'll lean towards the Pistons with Kawhi Leonard being questionable in this one, but I'll stay far away from the injury report on this one, Jeff.
Yeah, again, all reports that I heard the last couple of days, Kawhi was going to return. God bless us. I mean, geez, Try to earn your paycheck, pal. I mean, what the hell? Again, I think the number inflated because of the return of Kawhi. 113.5 their team total. Detroit 104. No real say in it other than the fact, again, I think it's an inflated line, but no Cade. Again, no Cade, no Pistons for me. So,
yep, 100%. I mean, they're just not as. He's good. I really like Cade Cunningham, and it's kind of a replacement as far as their depth. It's as much about him as it is the guys who are filling those minutes in, and it's a little ugly there. So let's move over to college basketball, my friend. I don't have a ton of thoughts. There's a huge slate. Interested, my alma mater, Illinois State, a rematch of the good beat that you won as far as Northwestern State. Now 6.5. at Illinois State. Is that any thoughts on that situation? If you had to, if not any leans, would you lean towards Illinois State having a better performance and covering the 6.5, or maybe Northwestern State a live dog there to split the doubleheader there, so to speak? There.
I take my gift with pride.
Yeah.
I was trying to find. Let me pull that one up and just see what the numbers say here. La 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 la. I just had it too. There it is. See, I got a 9.5 now. You're back home
really?
at 5. No, that was the overnight number.
Okay.
Your actual release number was 5.5. It's now 6. I'd lean Illinois State here. I think they should get the job done. I expect them to win by 7 or more. So I don't think the bank will be open tonight for Northwestern State.
Have you ever seen a team cover like that and against the same team twice? I mean, in any double season matchup where they get that ugly of a meaningless backdoor? Because I can't think of anything.
It's been a long time, trust me.
Yeah. And then I had, let's see, the Big Ten. There's only 3 games going on. We've obviously talked a lot about these Big Ten, Big East games. Not sure if you have thoughts on Nebraska, St. John's, excuse me. The one that looked interesting to me, Michigan going up against Arizona State. Still in this one's in Brooklyn. Michigan just played and beat the pants off of Pittsburgh yesterday, 8.5-point favorites. This one a little fishy to you with Arizona State as far as the 7.5 point spread after what they just did yesterday?
Yeah, VCU was getting some late money on that. 4-point favorites. Arizona State finds a way to win. Michigan looked like the Fab Five yesterday, and 7.5 on the spreadsheet, still 7.5 with a 142. If you allow Michigan to get into the 80s, Arizona State's going to lose tonight. If they can keep it in the 65, low 70s, they got a chance. So I'd actually lean the dog here. But do they rest on their laurels after upsetting VCU? Or does Michigan match the output that they did against Pitt is the 2 big questions.
Right. It's kind of keeping me away from it. I was watching that one yesterday and thought Pitt had a good chance, and they played them well the first 10 minutes or so, and then it was all Michigan from there. So Central Michigan and Minnesota, we talked a little bit about this Minnesota team. DePaul ended up kind of beating the pants off of them 69-53 the other day there. Central Michigan out of the MAC. Not quite sure what to make out of them so far. I don't know. Any interest in the dog in this one, or is this a good spot for Minnesota to maybe bounce back, or maybe this line is just spot on right here?
I get an overnight at 12.5 with a 139.5, corrected number of 135 and a 10.5. This is supposed to be a get well spot for Minnesota. Again, they're usually fast starters out of the gate, and then they get crushed in league play. Didn't obviously like their past performance. Wouldn't trust them laying double digits. This might be one of those games where I would take a look at the first half number. Maybe it's at around 5.5 or 6. Maybe you get that stellar first 20-minute effort out of them, and you don't have to worry about the back half.
Yeah, I think that's a fair spot. 5.5 in the first half is what I see there. So.
Which, again, Vegas is not tipping their hand. Usually on a 10.5, if you see a 6.5, 7, Vegas is telling you, yeah, we think they're going to come out guns a-blazing. They have no feel for Minnesota. So I'll just tell everyone, buyer beware there. That's all.
Yeah, definitely there. Let's see, Nebraska and San Jose, or excuse me, I keep saying SJ and keep saying San Jose. St. John's, very far away from San Jose. St. John's, I don't know if this is neutral court or if this is this is a home game for St. John's. It looks like 9.5 point spread for St. John's. Nebraska hasn't. I think they're 0-2 on the spread so far this year. 21.5 point favorites, only won by 13 against Maine. 17.5, only won by 14 against Nebraska. Omaha there, and St. John's at 3-0, obviously. Any thoughts on this one? Is this a all St. John's spot, or any feel towards these two teams either way?
It's which team opposes their will. I mean, St. John's wants to go up and down with the best of them. Nebraska's kind of that slow, Nebraska's, they have not put it together in a long time. They've had flashes again where they've started out well. They get to Big Ten play, nowhere to be found. I'm trying to find that game right now. See if I can give you a little better effort here on what the Bible is saying here. One second here. This thing loves to jump on me. There we go. A 10 with a 156, and now it's at 160 and 9.5. Again, the under over tells me it's a St. John's number. Now, do they cover the 9.5? 10 is a whole different story. My gut would tell me, I don't know if you can tell me offhand, they probably got St. John's team total tonight at around 85.5. Does that sound about right?
Spot on. It looks like I see 84.5 in one spot, but 85.5 is the consensus. Yep.
So we'll go 85 in the middle. Put it this way: if St. John's gets to 85 or better, they'll cover this. I think they get there anyways. I wouldn't want to have to worry about Nebraska here. I think St. John's gets to 90 or better today.
I think I'm with you there. I mean, their defense on paper not bad, but against these two teams that they've played, kind of unimpressive there. So I could see it for sure there. Let's see. I didn't have anything else too crazy outside of the Big Ten there. I guess what about Pitt and VC? Two teams. Pitt, ugly showing obviously yesterday against Michigan. VCU, like you mentioned, the loss against Arizona State there. Now I see VCU 3.5, 4. It looks like in different spots here, even 3 on one spot, a couple spots there. It looks like. So, any interest? Is this an overreaction, or excuse me, not an overreaction? Is this a spot where people might be overreacting and all over VCU and maybe Pitt's aside, or you see it a different way there?
No, I think you got to. If you had Pitt yesterday, you got to come back with Pitt today. Listen, if you're going to go to the window with Pitt against Michigan, okay? VCU is not Michigan here, guys.
Right.
So if you went to the window and you lost with Pitt yesterday, you got to go back with pride and conviction and take Pitt again today. 3.5, 4. They should match up a lot better. It was just like you said, they played a good 10 minutes. They played a bad 30 minutes. Listen, if you watched the Texas Gonzaga game and you watched that last 10 minutes, it was a dunk fest. It was just alley-oop, alley-oop, alley-oop. So what happens in these college games here is once your heart is ripped out, the more athletic team can do whatever the hell they want. Now, listen, Gonzaga and Texas, Gonzaga did the same thing to Texas last year in Gonzaga. So that didn't sit well with Chris Beard and that team. Right. So they got their revenge spot there. So I'm not comparing the two games. But the fact of the matter, very simply, is this. The hardest part in our lanes, Riley, is when you go to the window with a team and they lose, it is so hard to go back to them the next day. And my point is sometimes you just, the ones that you don't like, the ones that we squeeze the butt cheeks and that we hate are the ones that usually cash. So again, if you had Pitt yesterday against Michigan, go back to the window and take them tonight.
I'm glad you're affirming my thoughts because I was on Pitt yesterday and I took a swing at him again today. And I mean, not only the game against Michigan, but less than a week ago, another stinker against West Virginia too, as 3-point dogs. So you got to think they're looking themselves in the mirror, coming out with a different type of effort tonight. So I'm with you there for sure. Let's see here. What are these other ones? Anything else that you were seeing? I'm trying to rattle my see if I had any that I was interested in or at least we're talking about. There's not a ton of Power 5 games outside of the ones we've talked about.
The one that kind of catches my eye here, and you know, a team that was one of the darlings for a long, long time and has struggled the last 2 years is Wichita State, and they're playing at Richmond. Now, Richmond is been a very good team. The Spiders find a way to scratch and claw. And with an under-over of 132, that's, again, a Richmond number. I don't know what you're going to get from this Wichita State team. They haven't turned the corner in a while. Interested to see the actual number was 3.5 with a 133. I do see 5 at Chris right now. It is now 4 across the board. As we speak, someone just moved it to 4.5, so they're listening. Soon to be 5, so we're starting to see some later money coming in on the Spiders. I'm more interested in to see what kind of Wichita State team that we have right now.
For sure. I mean, looking at they got loss at or no, maybe not at, but against Alcorn State as 16-point favorites. One of the SWAC teams I was talking about. That one obviously isn't sitting well, but a lot of these situations, not across the board, but a lot of these teams that you would expect to come out strong, or maybe these teams that are maybe have better brand names but aren't quite as strong this year have lost a couple of those in a row, right? So I could see it. I could see it for sure. That one was one that I'm interested in. You're right. I mean, as far as the public perception, I mean, I don't know if the Richmond perception grew quite a bit over these last couple of years, but I think it's probably surpassed, or their program has surpassed Wichita State, at least right now, and whereas the perception of Wichita State is probably still pretty damn high from what the last decade was. So especially in the Midwest, as far as formerly in the Missouri Valley Conference over here in our neck of the woods. So I'm with you there. I'm interested in that one as well.
And we had the same spot a couple days ago, I think Tuesday on our show, a Vanderbilt team that was 16-point favorites. No, I'm sorry, 3-point dogs to Memphis and lose, 16-point favorites and lose. Then they traveled to Temple and they win outright. So a couple, these teams starting off slow have a day or two to work out some kinks, look themselves in the mirror and say, hey, guys, we got to stop the slide here. And you're going to get a more concerted effort. And I just wonder with some of these teams with the 0-2 starts, the 0-3 starts, are they mailing it in already this early in the year? Or is the coach grabbing them, by the shirt tails and say, hey, guys, it's time to wake up and play some ball here?
Right. And I think over the course of the season, I think Wichita State will probably be at least, a competent team and whatnot. But, I'm with you. I don't think it's going to be to that point as well. So that's all I had for college basketball. Any other ones that you want to mention?
Kind of surprised here. I know that San Jose State is not a juggernaut by any means, but surprised that Hofstra's a 2-point favorite, or 2.5, almost 3 now at San Jose State. That kind of surprised me a little there. Creighton, 18.5 against Cal Riverside. Again, Creighton is a wagon this year, but it's a low under-over of 140, which leads me to believe that they're probably going to get into the 80-60 range. So I guess they're probably looking at their team totals probably at that 78.5, 79 number there. So if they get into the 80s, they should be in cruise control there. Let me see anything else here. Oh, here's a game right down in your neck of the woods. Let me ask you this. Neutral court, Loyola or Chicago, who's the darling, we all know. 7 points, 7.5-point favorites against Tulsa. I mean, Sister Mary Jean's still around, and the team just keeps on winning. And on a neutral court, now again, Tulsa is not a wagon here, but is that more of a statement, or is this just plug and play and just ride Sister Mary Jean?
I don't know. I think that might be a little bit of a statement here. I haven't gotten a feel for them yet. Tulsa's had a tough opener against Oregon State, and then took care of I think that's Jackson State, it looks like. But I don't know. Did Loyola move conferences? I'm not as tapped into the Missouri Valley as I used to be. They moved conferences, right? I'm not crazy with that, right?
That's a great question.
I think they did. I was gonna say I'm typically a lot more tapped into the MVC, but I've been a little less. I know they moved conferences. I'm drawing a blank where they went to. Let's see. They went to the Atlantic 10. That's right. Okay, yeah, they're in the Atlantic 10 now. Okay. Either way, which I love the Atlantic 10 there. So I don't know. I could see them maybe not being a darling this year, but still having a nice season. But I don't know. I'll lean towards Tulsa there.
So they were ready to move in with the big boys, huh?
I guess the Missouri Valley is kind of scrambling, trying to I mean, all these programs keep one by one kind of. I think it was Creighton first, then Wichita State, Loyola. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody else too, but yeah, now you got Drake up at the top, but yeah, these oh, and then I guess we kind of poached off the Ohio Valley. We brought in Murray State, which I honestly and Belmont, which I kind of forgot about until I'm looking at it right now. So yeah, the Missouri Valley's fun, man. I love a little Arch Madness, so I'm sure I'll be a little more tapped in as we get into the Missouri Valley season there in conference play.
That's about it in there. Utah State late 6-point favorites at San Diego, which is kind of surprising. A 146 and a half. I think that game goes flying over, but I'm not going to be going to the window there. I've seen a few people jump on the Bryant train today. The actual number was 11 with a 154. It's at 161 and a half. Some with 162s down to 7. So Bryant is one of those public trendy dogs today. Anything else further down? Kentucky coming off that loss, 41-point favorites against South Carolina State. And by the way, you want a peekaboo game. I thought I heard that they go to Gonzaga on Sunday, and that's not going to be fun for them with Gonzaga coming off that loss there. LIU, 29-point dogs against Marquette. Nah, there's nothing more over there, brother.
All right, actually, I'll throw you one more, and then I'm curious if you got any touchdown scores for the NFL game. Davidson College of Charleston. Charleston has actually been kind of interesting. Close game against UNC, beat Chattanooga, open it up, beat that Richmond team we were talking about, and Davidson 3-0 technically. I think they played a random D2 or D3 school, but I don't know. Any thoughts on these two? I think Charleston's the favorite. I don't know. Is that a statement for Charleston against a much bigger brand name in Davidson? Is this maybe the darling in the making, College of Charleston here?
Let me find. There it is right there. Now, the overnight number was Davidson -1 with a 158 and a half. It's now 165 and a half with a 3.5. Rumor has it Steph Curry will not be playing for Davidson tonight. It's a statement. It's basically not so fast. The Davidson brand, the College of Charleston is the way to go. My eyes would say, and it's just my eyes, take the over 165, grab some popcorn, and enjoy that game.
Yeah. No, that was at least interesting. I had a piece of Charleston against UNC, was just thinking that was a kind of a statement against them. I think it was a 20-point spread there. So that's about all I got, my friend. Curious what you've got for touchdown scores in the football game tonight, though, or anything.
I'm trying to figure this thing out, and I'm very, very, very disappointed with Tanyan and what has happened to him of late. And when I say that, I went shopping on the waiver wire on a few of my Tanyan teams, picked up Juwan Johnson in a couple spots. I picked up Likely, even though Andrews is going to play in the spot. So I'm disappointed there. Looking outside and in, I don't think Watson duplicates it. I know Rodgers well enough where they'll take a few shots. I wouldn't be shocked if the first play is Watson to the mailbox just to stretch the field a little. Is Lazard in or out?
He's in. Yeah, he's in. That could be a good one there. Tanyan, I think so. I've got Tanyan's over 28.5. I stayed away from a touchdown score because he just hasn't been a factor in the red zone. Rodgers has kind of forced a couple to him over the last few weeks. But that Detroit game, I had his over and he went under, but he left the game at the end. My optimism level right now, last week was a tougher matchup against Dallas. They're better against tight ends. Tennessee is not at their bottom 10 yardage, I think, against tight ends. But Tanyan's last week's snap count usage was second highest of the season. So I feel confident that I'm not saying must start fantasy wise. I'm not saying that. I just think he could get 35, 40 yards, 4 catches or something like that. So I went to his over on his receiving prop, but you're right to be a little scorned as far as his overall production. And like I said, I'm not. I've got him on one of my fantasy teams, but it's that's my weakest spot is tight end. But I think he could have he'll be more of a factor than he was last week, is my opinion for tonight.
And I hate to rush to the window on a Thursday night game. Don't have a lot of luck, and usually Thursday nights are lower scoring. So I got to go back there one more time because you study long, study wrong, in my eyes there. So my two props tonight. Um, I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna go chalk tonight. I'm gonna stay away from the chalk. At least I think I am here. Uh, what is for the Titans? Traylon Burks.
That
Anytime.
was the we're kind of in the same. I didn't bet on any Titans touchdown scores, but that was one that seemed like hang on, my app's kind of slow and slow. I want to say that might be in the 3-1 range if he's right next to Tanyan there. Let me double check. Uh, yeah, 390 actually, close to 4-1 for Burks there. I like that one too.
All right, gonna go Traylon Burks on the Tennessee side. And you know what? When we zig, they zag, and vice versa. Um, I like the info you gave me on Tanyan. He is overdue. I just Lazard's been so quiet, and with the emergence of Watson, what's Lazard's anytime touchdown?
Lazard's 210, and that's been fairly consistent. He's been a little maybe in the 180 range. Lazard was one that I didn't bet on because sometimes when you bet on him, then that's one of the games where he does nothing. But I think that's a good spot there. I mean, the Watson thing, the Watson numbers that they're giving you seem way too good to be true. I just think he's going to be. I mean, he had 84% snap count for the first time. By I think 60 something was week one. And then a lot of injuries, and they made a point of saying in that Bills game he had one catch to open up the game, and then he got hurt, and they were moaning that he was going to be a huge part of their game plan. So I kind of call BS on these numbers and think they at least should be not quite as steep, But again, I'm not saying he's going to duplicate it, and I think he's just going to be a factor as opposed to the guy tonight. You know what I mean? So I'm going pretty firm with AJ Dillon. I see Aaron Jones plus 115, AJ Dillon 175. When typically when Jones is the guy that's getting the scoring or whatever, it's in that minus 105, 110 range in my opinion, and AJ Dillon's 2-1 or higher. So I don't know. This one was kind of a go spot for me for AJ Dillon to have at least one scored, and I put a tiny little sprinkle on him to have 2 touchdowns actually tonight for AJ Dillon.
You're killing me here because I actually pulled him out of a few spots. He hasn't scored since week one, right?
That's right. And then, like I said, 2 weeks ago, they tried to get it to him, and then they obviously had the blunders on the goal line. They gave him a couple chances, and then last week they didn't really have the opportunities. So if they get into the goal line situations, I think he'll have a couple opportunities tonight. That's a big if, though.
And the problem with Lazard is the fact that he goes and catches 2 balls and he gets hurt. So
yeah,
I'm going to piggyback with you. I'll take the A.J. Dillon. I'll also lean Tanyan. I'm going to root for you with the Tanyan over there. I think he might score. Again, Tennessee can stop the run. So you got to get a little cute here. Watson had the big game. So maybe it is Tanyan. Maybe it is.
And you know what? I was just thinking, and I thought I think Randall Cobb is going to be. I don't know what his usage is tonight. He's 460. It could be one of these ones where you put all this analysis in, and Randall Cobb catches 2 catches for 2 touchdowns or something like that in 20 yards, and you're left sitting there like, what the hell? Where did Randall Cobb come from? So 460 kind of suggests that he's probably not going to be a huge factor, but you never know with Rodgers and Cobb. So I don't know. Maybe take a tiny little sprinkle, maybe stay far away. But I would say unless you're the confidence that I have, and I'm not saying I'm going all in on anything, but yeah, like you said, probably take it easy. There's a lot of ways this game could go tonight.
And Randall Cobb is just that. 2 catches, 8 yards, 2 touchdowns, both to the left pylon, sitting in the back of the end zone, just waiting for the ball. I can see it now.
Yeah, either that or it's the 2 biggest third downs of the game, and then he's it's the security blanket. So I'm glad to have him back. I love Randall Cobb, but I'm hoping he doesn't vulture any of my bets that I've got for my blog tonight. I need a bounce back bad tonight.
There's a huge slate in the NHL, and I'm trying to figure this thing out. And usually Thursday night, all the overs come in. Well, meaning they're all 6 or 6.5s. And I'm looking at today's board, and I'm trying to get a read on the team totals here to give some people some thought processes. And I'm looking right here, Montreal, Columbus. Montreal's been an enigma to us. Andrew McGinnis is on his way to the Bruins and Flyers. Listen, the Bruins and Red Sox. Bruins and Celtics are 15-1 combined at the Garden to start the year. Philly team total 2.5 under 150. The Bruins defense on team totals, it's been 2 or less the whole year. They are so due to lay an egg that I'll give everyone the cherry on top here. Take the Philadelphia Flyers team total over 2.5 and get that plus 130.
Not to cut you off, but you were right about the the Celtics had a similar spot, and they ended up winning, but I think it was a 4-point win on a 12-point favorite the other day. I don't remember if it was in Boston or not, but you were right. You were spot on with that one.
Yes, against OKC.
Yeah, against OKC. Yeah, and Shea, people need to give, speaking of that, not to cut you off and go on a totally different tangent, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, 40-point last night in the game winner. He's an all-star, man. He is a stud.
And let's just get this straight to anyone watching and listening. Okay, clear the desk right now. It's not what you do in October, November, December, because this Celtic team was under 500 till January of 2022 when Udoka takes Tatum and Brown into the locker room and says, all right, guys, you're going to buy in now. And they did. They went on that massive run. The rest is history. The Warriors are just playing patty cake, grab ass, whatever. Okay. And the Celtics are 12-3. They've won 8 in a row. They're the greatest team since Larry Bird in 84. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit right now. Okay. They're good. Yeah. The Time Lord's coming back too. They'll be even better. Okay. They ain't this good, guys. And the same with the Bruins. The Bruins came off of a team that lost their coach, that started the year injured with, Marchand, with McAvoy. They're on fire. Yeah. Come talk to me in April. Are they still playing in April? All right. So let's pump the brakes here with the duck boats and the parades and all that bullshit. All right. So they're inflated tonight. Flyers, team total over 2.5, plus 130. And I'm going to go last one. Survey says, wow, that makes no sense. All these games, and there's no. Maybe late night you can get some plus, but no, I'm not even going to say it. No. That's it. That's it in hockey. That's it.
Yeah, no, I don't have any thoughts on it either. I was going to say something as far as one of those late games, but yeah, I have no idea. No idea.
Closing thoughts.
Yeah, nothing crazy. Go late on the game. I've got some strong thoughts on, or maybe not strong thoughts, but confident thoughts with the Packers. Go check out my Packers Extra Cheddar blog on my Twitter page, weekly Packers blog. I am doer than you're the hotter you're due, and I am not hot as far as my bets are concerned for the old Packers blog. So I got the monkey off my back with my Bulls bets last night, Jeff. While the Bulls are falling into despair themselves, I got the monkey off of my back and ended my Bulls bet losing streak. So I'm hungry for a second night getting back into the green with the Green Bay Packers. So I'm feeling good tonight, my friend.
For the ECSI VIPs, the world isn't ending. That's why we take it on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis. Nice to put the 7 units to start the week. Nice to start the week 1-0. Sucks to have now lost our last 6. No sugarcoating here. I'm 100% transparent. Shame on me for not giving out the over in the MAC game last night. I'm going to look deep into this board here. See if we can figure out at least 2 games here to get us to a 2-1 day to get us ready for the weekend. Busy weekend. Scotty Webb is off on Sunday, Riley. So if you're available Saturday morning, we can put together a show for the for football. Tomorrow, 11 my time, 10 your time. Is that all right?
Yep, that works for me.
That'll be the
unless
big.
I'm drawing unless I'm drawing a blank on anything the weekend. I think I'm wide open Friday through Sunday.
Okay, so we'll go 11 o'clock, Big Ten review, and then we'll come back at 4 o'clock. Actually, we'll probably go in around 3:30, 3:45 again. We'll get a start of the closing bell. We'll bring in Mr. Lucky, and then we'll wrap up the closing bell for Friday. And then we'll check in at the end of the week. We'll try to do something Sunday morning, and then we'll do a holiday week. We'll figure out what's going on for everyone's travel and all that for next week. How's that?
Yeah, sounds good. I made a face that keeps sneaking up on me holiday week there. So I'll be ready to roll though. I'll be ready to roll for sure. For
myself, Jeff Dawson at DC Sports Invest, from the one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. We wish everyone a blessed day and a blessed evening. Remember, stay the course, will you? No double down, triple down. Oh, this is a lock. The only such thing as a lock is at your front door, your back door, your bathroom door, whatever. There's no such thing as locks, whales. And if you're following those guys that put together these stream, surgical parlays and all that happy horse shit, betting $500 a day. I have 2 bridges within 20 minutes. It's called the Bourne Bridge and the Sagamore Bridge. They are up for sale right now at a discount rate. It's the holiday season. So you can DM me or send an email to eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com. We will be taking all serious bids. So I bid you adieu, and we will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.